Welcome to the What's So Smart podcast, powered by the Huntsville County Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Clark Dunn. Huntsville, Alabama is known as a smart place, but really, what's so smart about it? In this podcast, we will talk to the leaders of Huntsville's economic and cultural development to answer that question. From rockets to genomics, from cyber to music, What's So Smart will explore the visionary and data-driven initiatives that make Huntsville so smart. Stay connected with us on all your social media platforms at A Smart Place. You can watch the full conversations on our YouTube channel at Huntsville, Alabama, USA, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy this episode of the What's So Smart podcast. Well, welcome to the What's So Smart podcast. Super excited to have you here today. Would you like to introduce yourself, and we'll kind of get started there?
Sure. So happy to be here. My name is Chanel Vaughn Leslie, and I am a local educator, have been in the Huntsville City system for over 18 years. And what's probably interesting, or maybe not that interesting, is that I'm not a native here, and I don't run into too many native Huntsvillians here.
It is far and few between.
Exactly.
Talk a little. Where are you originally from, and kind of what was the journey, and what landed you here in Huntsville 18 years ago?
Okay, this is. I was actually born in the North, in New Jersey. Didn't spend a lot of time there, so Virginia is home to me. That's where I spent most of my life, and that is the place that I can safely and softly land. I was there, and what led me to Huntsville is pretty interesting. I had never visited Alabama. I had never gone this far south. And I wanted to go to an HBCU, a historically black college, to pursue my master's. And literally, it was like, haven't been there. Let me see what's there. And so, never been to Huntsville. In fact, I had never really heard of Huntsville. So, applied to Alabama A&M, got accepted, came down here, traveled to Huntsville, and said, okay, I'll stay there for 2 years, just until I received my master's. That was 27 years ago.
As you got here, when you first came to Huntsville, obviously you had really no preconceived knowledge about what Huntsville was like. Did it exceed any sort of like preconceived expectations, and kind of tugged you to say, hey, I'm going to stay here and I like this place?
It actually did. I was pleasantly surprised, because everything that I had heard about Alabama, because even when I told family and friends, hey, I'm going to relocate for 2 years, I just got blank stares. And so when I got here, I said, oh my goodness, it was nothing like I had expected, in a good way.
Yeah.
And so after about a year, into the program, what kept me here, because again, I was looking to go back home. And what kept me here was I met someone who turned out to be my husband. And again, that was 27 years ago, and I'm still here.
Yeah. So, you've been in the education system here in Huntsville for, 18 years. So you've seen it continue to grow, as well as you've seen Huntsville continue to grow. How has education, and from your perspective, kind of shaped the transformation that Huntsville's having, and kind of how have you seen it change over your course of 18 years?
And education in Huntsville has changed so much, and just trying to keep up with the technology, but also trying to keep up with Huntsville. Huntsville is growing exponentially, and I've seen that happen over the last 27 years. And education is trying to keep up with that pace. And I think I know that Huntsville is doing a really good job in keeping up with the new technologies. I see AI, and I see the partnerships and all the things that Huntsville is doing as far as the educational piece. When I started 18 years ago, it was something for teachers to have just a smart board in their room. That was the new thing. Even individual CD players for children. Wow. That was the high tech.
Yeah.
And to see that growth from that to where we are now, VR headsets and all the things that this system is providing our children, it is just, I know, just keeping them at the forefront of this whole global explosion of opportunities for our kids. And I just think that they are preparing them extremely well for what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, that kind of tees up perfect for the next question. It's kind of like, you've seen just the technology itself change in the classroom. Mm-hmm. I mean, and preparing these kids to kind of go on to the future, but also say that, like, hey, like, things are going to continue to change. It's not just going to, like, stay this way forever. And it hasn't. I mean, it's continuing to adapt and continue to change. What are some of the technology things that maybe you, as a teacher in the classroom, has kind of helped the process of you kind of just being a better teacher for the students? And, like, as you've seen it happen over the course of 18 years.
Right. Let's go back to just COVID. Mm-hmm. We had to adapt so quickly when school shut down and we had to go to e-learning. And just in the 4 years since that, I think I know I have grown so much in those 4 years as far as the technology and what's available to our students. It's mind-blowing what has happened. Things that the kids are doing in the classroom are things that I just dreamt about, like, not even knowing that could be a reality of some of the things that they're doing. Like I said, with the VR headsets, just a lot of virtual reality things, even using AI responsibly in the classroom. And as teachers, we have taken something that had started to turn sort of negative when the whole AI thing came out, and we've used it to our advantage to create opportunities for ourselves, to lighten our load sometimes, and it has taught us not just AI, but a lot of the technology that we're using. Just how innovative and how creative we can be. Not just relying solely on, like, maybe AI or something thinking for us, but it actually has just turned on a lot of my creative juices. I'm not a spring chicken in this field, and even at my age, I just feel like I have so much more to learn. Yeah. And it's providing me opportunities. The school system here, just the city here, just provides so many opportunities for the students, for me to just be so excited about what's coming and what we're doing in our classroom. It really has changed the way we teachers have had to teach. It just really blows my mind how it was when I started 18 years ago until now. It's night and day, but in a good way. Yeah. In a good way.
Yeah, and I think, being that lifelong learner is something that's super important. And I think, as technology increases in the role that you play as a teacher, that's going to be something that, like, every year there's something probably new, and there's something like a better way to do this, and and like looking backwards and thinking, like, I can't believe we used to do it that way. It's probably a pretty cool thing, because it's like, the way you were doing things when you first started teaching to the way you're doing things now, and it's the same task, it's probably just completely polar opposites.
It's you hit it right on the head. It is just totally opposite. And sometimes I'll go, that first group of kids I had, it's like, I'm sorry, but now that I see what I'm doing, it was like, oh my goodness. It's just totally transformational how it has all happened. Not just from 18 years ago, just from 2 years ago.
Wow.
Things have completely changed. And you mentioned lifelong learner. I went back to school the very end, working on my dissertation for my doctorate. And just being in that program, again, it has really put me in a position to see things from so many different perspectives. My degree will be in counseling, rural education and counseling. And what it has given me this great opportunity to see, we're in this huge city, but I've also visited schools in the Black Belt region of Alabama. And just the difference in accessibility and limited technology is night and day. So again, I'm seeing things from so many different perspectives, and trying not to take for granted what we have here.
Yeah, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier, just like the community itself and being here in Huntsville has also just impacted a lot of the work that you do as a teacher over the course of your 18 years teaching here. How important are community partnerships in the role that you play as a teacher here in Huntsville?
Wow, they are very crucial to what it is that we're doing, because what that provides us, and more so our students, is an opportunity to work alongside people who are doing it, who are in the know, in the business, in the industry. And our students can get some real world experience working side by side. We do partnerships, mentorships, job shadowing. So they're getting some, while also developing soft skills. So they're getting all of this information and just hands-on experience. And without that, I don't think that they would be able to compete in some of the opportunities that are afforded a lot of students when they come out of high school, because we have dual enrollment here in Huntsville. So students are graduating with associate degrees already, and but then partnering with like all of the universities and colleges here. I just really think that is giving a lot of our students a foot up, or a heads up, or just a sort of a leap forward for those students who may not have as many partnerships in other areas. I was speaking to a former student of mine who I taught 18 years ago. Actually, she was in my very first grade class, and she is a product of the dual enrollment program, and is wanting to study law now. But she talked about the impact of partnering with the local colleges and universities here, and how that gave her an advantage when she went to college. She even studied in Europe for a year and came back, and then got a degree in Boston. But it's things like that, and students who come back to say, yeah, this place, this school, this system has really, really afforded me some opportunities that I probably wouldn't have had, otherwise.
Yeah, and I think the dual enrollment, there was plenty of people as I was going through school that did that, and they get to college and it's, they're finished with their math classes. It's like, I haven't even done one. It's like, how are you finished with this already? Or like, I've already gotten my history degree, or I've already gotten the history credit, or whatever credit it is. And it's a pretty unique thing. And I think the collaborative nature that Huntsville plays, not only in the K-12 system, but also in that higher education as well, is crucial to become this tech city that we are, and this booming environment that we've created here in Huntsville. From your perspective as a teacher here in Huntsville, what makes Huntsville such a smart place?
Well, the smartness of Huntsville is that I think it's sort of a blend. It's this blend of innovation. It's also like it's a community spirit. So you have not only the tech and the engineers and the scientists and all of that, but they're using their smartness to benefit the community as well, because you'll see these people working, coming into our schools and working with our students. And to me, that's smart to to know how you can impact someone in a school, whether it's, a kindergartner that you're teaching simple jet propulsion to on a K level, or working with that middle school student who is, sort of at a crossroads, not sure what they want to do, but providing those mentorships, and then seeing people that look like them, bringing that diversity into our schools, into our classrooms and communities. That's one thing that I know that Huntsville does well, and does very, it's very intelligent and very smart how they do that. But what is really smart, I think, about Huntsville is how it can leverage its intellectual capital for the benefit of everyone in the community, and I think they do that extremely well.
Yeah, and I mean, I can attest that as growing up here in Huntsville native myself, it's easy to kind of get into your own little bubble as growing up. Like you often don't realize the cool things that are being done here in Huntsville when you're in middle school. When you're even in high school, it's like most of the time you have those conversations with friends in high school. It's like, I can't wait to not live in Huntsville. I can't wait to go somewhere else.
Right.
And I think it's this opportunity for students throughout their time in the Huntsville City school system to kind of have that exposure to what's actually being done here, because we want to keep this talent in this workforce to say, hey, we should stay here and we can do fun and exciting and cool and different things and not even have to leave my hometown, which I think is super unique.
That is true. That is so true with the diversity, the cultures, we were just at the Orion last weekend, and we discovered that there are waterfalls, and it's just so. It pretty much has everything here, and like you said, it's you don't have to leave here to get sort of this well-rounded environment that you can just kind of thrive in, whether it's culturally or job-wise or educationally. It's pretty much everything is pretty much here.
Yeah. So you've probably had some pretty unique experiences and unique stories that have happened to you, either, being a teacher or just living here in Huntsville as someone who didn't think you were going to stay here. Is there a unique story or something that stands out over the course of your time here in Huntsville? There's one thing. I worked at Marshall Space Flight Center for almost 10 years. And I was a Lewis Stokes Fellow. I was selected as a new NASA Lewis Stokes Fellow. And in that role, I worked with minority-serving universities and HBCUs. And we would bring students from all over the country in, and we would do tours of Marshall and take them to the Space and Rocket Center. And my schedule was, kindergartners one day and college professors the next day. Wow. So it ran the full range. And there was a small group from Atlanta, and maybe 20 kids or so. And so we took them to the Space and Rocket Center. And it was supposed to be about maybe a 30-minute. They were kind of running, their time was limited. So they said, well, we can do about 30 minutes here. So as I was walking through and showing them and pointing things out, a gentleman came to me. He heard some of the conversation, and he started pointing to different things and telling me different things. And I sort of looked at him, and he said, yeah, I remember that. And I remember that. And I remember doing that. And I went, who are you?
And for the life of me, I cannot remember his name, but he was a retired engineer that worked. He wasn't there when Wernher von Braun was there, but not long after that. So he worked on a lot of the things that were initiated by Wernher von Braun. But he gave us so many accounts of his personal experience with a lot of the things that were in the museum. And and I did say, I said, this is so Huntsville, who runs into a scientist and engineer that actually worked on the things that we were seeing. And so he gave us some very personal accounts of his time.
I think that's a unique thing with Huntsville too. I think there's a lot of those engineers that worked on for NASA or worked on some pretty cool projects and some pretty well-known things here in town that are giving back to the community in ways like that, where you're just walking around the Space and Rocket Center, not thinking you're going to have a firsthand experience of what that actual project looked like. Like, I was planning on reading about the project, not actually like being with someone who did the project. And so I think that's a super unique thing. Obviously, sort of your time here in Huntsville, there's been a lot of different things that you've been able to be a part of. You've been able to see the growth. Besides just work and family, what else kind of keeps you here in Huntsville and keeps you loving the city?
Truthfully, it is the sense of community. Even though Huntsville has grown so much over the last the 27 years that I've been here, but it's Southern charm with its cosmopolitan feel as well. So it's this sort of juxtaposition of, having this Southern thing that I'm used to and love. That's what I love about the South, the community and that feel, but also the cosmopolitan side where I can go to this concert or go to whatever I want to in a short amount of time. Yeah. So it's that keeps me and my husband here in Huntsville.
Yeah, I think there's a great blend, and I think as I've been able to see Huntsville continue to grow. I mean, having that opportunity in those places like the Orion and Mid-City and just all the different things that bring such high level attraction to a city that it's hard to believe 10 years ago we would have.
Exactly.
And it's a really cool thing to kind of have that. Like, you can still drive to parts of Huntsville and be like, this is exactly what it looked like when I grew up here.
Right.
But then you go to other areas, it's like, I could go here tomorrow and it looked different tomorrow.
That's true.
And it's an incredible thing. But I appreciate you spending the last little bit talking about your passion for the education here in Huntsville, and I continue to look forward to the impact that you'll have here in Huntsville for years to come. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the What's So Smart podcast. Stay connected with us on all your social media platforms at A Smart Place. You can watch the full conversations on our YouTube channel at Huntsville, Alabama, USA, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed hearing more about what makes Huntsville so smart.